Well, we have some stunning breaking news. I want to bring in our legal expert, Aaron Parnas, to break it down for you all. Aaron, Donald Trump's classified documents case overseen by Judge Aileen Cannon, who it should be noted was appointed by Donald Trump, has just been dismissed by Judge Aileen Cannon, thrown into the trash. Now, this will likely or inevitably be appealed by the prosecution side, but I do want to hear from you your initial thoughts and just some of the initial details that we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a crazy, crazy decision. I mean, I don't think any legal expert really predicted Judge Cannon to dismiss this case based on the appointments clause. So for your viewers, kind of a high-level approach here, Judge Cannon dismissed the Mar-a-Lago documents case, saying that Judge or Special Counsel Jack Smith was improperly appointed under the Constitution's appointments clause, and that the indefinite funding structure of the appointment was also improper, essentially saying that the executive branch usurped legislative authority when appointing Jack Smith to the case. It's pretty weird given the fact that we've had special counsels in the past, like Robert Mueller, and even, if you recall, David Weiss, who is a special counsel responsible for the Hunter Biden prosecutions, appointed under similar structures, and their appointments have been upheld. But here, Judge Cannon takes essentially Justice Thomas's concurrence in the recent immunity decision and applies it to dismiss Trump's Mar-a-Lago documents case in full. And it's a pretty radical decision. I mean, it's a 93-page opinion. I've read through most of it. It is likely going to be overturned on appeal in front of the 11th Circuit, and I doubt this Supreme Court would uphold this decision in any way. But overall, a pretty crazy decision.
Absolutely. I want to give my initial thought, then throw a pretty big question at you as to the future of Cannon's involvement in this case. But it's interesting. The big narrative, as all of you have seen from MAGA folks, has been that everything's weaponized against Trump, and ideology is trumping, pardon the pun there, is superior in the minds of these prosecutors to executing the law correctly. But as we've gone through in detail with Aaron Parnas many times, that doesn't seem to align with the evidence that's being brought forward and the facts of these cases. But it's interesting, and because of the wild conspiracy theories levied the way of Biden often by MAGA folks about these Trump cases, I'm hesitant to say things that sound similar the other way. But it's stunning how, because of that, or riding alongside that narrative, you actually have this situation developing where it really does seem ideology in the other direction is tainting our justice system, and justice prevailing, the equal application of the law with Cannon, who, again, this is my speculation, but I think there's some facts to back it up, seeming ideologically driven to help Trump. Supreme Court justices also having these bizarre and Trump-favoring rulings that will have wild implications. That seems ideologically driven and partisan almost. So that's stunning to me. My first question, if you want to speak to that, feel free. But then my first follow-up is, could this be justification for Jack Smith to try to get Aileen Cannon kicked off of overseeing this case?
100%, and I would expect him to ask for that, actually. I think you'll see Jack Smith quickly appeal this decision to the 11th Circuit, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the 11th Circuit summarily rejects Judge Cannon's position and just kicks it back on remand to the Southern District of Florida. And I think as part of the remedy Jack Smith is going to seek, he's going to seek some type of reassignment or recusal remedy here, because it's been clear ever since inception that Judge Cannon has really been more favorable to Trump, and kind of these weird and novel legal theories that Trump's team has been pushing. Now, I think in this case, Justice Thomas gave Judge Cannon some cover because he was the first one to kind of approve of this novel legal theory that the appointment violated the appointments clause. So it's not as crazy because you have a Supreme Court justice and a concurrence kind of giving you the go-ahead to issue this decision. And I actually thought once I read Justice Thomas's concurrence in the immunity decision, I 100% predicted that this would be the outcome here. Wow. Because it gave Judge Cannon actually cover to make this decision today. But in any event, setting aside this decision, I mean, throughout the entire case, Judge Cannon has been kind of more favorable to Trump's team, and it's shown. And I think that Jack Smith will definitely argue for it. I don't know that the 11th Circuit will grant it, but he has a valid argument.
Indeed. And let me get the response here from Trump on Truth Social. He wrote, "As we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, the dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should be just the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts, the January 6th hoax in Washington, D.C., the Manhattan DA's zombie case, the New York AG scam, fake claims about a woman I never met, a decades-old photo in a line with her, then husband doesn't count, and the Georgia perfect phone call charges. The Democrat Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are an election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me. Let us come together to end all weaponization of our justice system and make America great again." So I can't say enough times, I want to be clear about this, that what took place at the Trump rally, we were there, was just horrific and unacceptable. Someone has died, and that's truly heartbreaking. And the fact that anyone would try to use violence within our political process like this, again, is unacceptable and horrible. In the wake of that, Trump has been saying he's going to have a more unifying message, which is interesting. And we heard Biden's unifying message. I was curious to see in what form that would come. And it seems that these inaccurate statements about all of his cases are his form of unity, which is not exactly the unity that I think we need in this moment. Aaron, what's your response to the MAGA celebration about this, feeling like this is justice?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Luke. I don't think this is unity really in any way. And I think all of these cases were lawfully brought. I mean, these were, if you recall, especially in the federal case, I mean, in all the cases, but the federal cases too, and in this case, in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, you had a federal grand jury made up of anywhere from 12 to 23 Americans of all different backgrounds, of all different political affiliations, vote to issue this indictment. They believed that there was probable cause based on the evidence presented that a crime was committed by Donald Trump, not just one crime, but dozens of crimes here in the Southern District of Florida. Now, it is important that the country unifies, especially after what happened this past weekend, which was horrific. But at the same time, unification does not mean that one individual now automatically becomes above the rest. And Donald Trump is not above the law. A former president is not and should not be above the law. And even in light of the recent Supreme Court immunity decision, a former president who takes actions outside of the official scope of his duties is not above the law. And here in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, a number of the obstructive acts that Donald Trump took occurred after he left the presidency. This was while he was already living in Mar-a-Lago. And this is all private citizen conduct that Jack Smith should be able to pursue. If a crime was committed, we should be able to pursue that to seek justice. And if a jury acquits Trump, There's no, you have to respect a jury's verdict. But in this case, I mean, I think that Judge Cannon really took the easy way out here by going down this appointments clause rabbit hole. It's a novel legal theory. It's a novel legal argument. And it's one that I think is going to get quickly overturned by the 11th Circuit.
Well, there it is. If we learn more, and actually before wrapping up, I was curious, there's no question now, none of the other cases are happening before the election, right?
No, I mean, absolutely not. You're lucky if his sentencing in New York is even going to happen before the election. I mean, everything's on pause.
Wow. Aaron, where can people find you?
On all my social platforms, just at Aaron Parnas.